Joseph Joestar had many great enemies, vampires, stand users, even the ultimate life form, but none will compare to his greatest rival, fences.
Everyone, get in the car! We're leaving this town now! Bam! What the? Impossible! This isn't the car! No! No! Herman! Herman!
Alright, so this is peak brain rot, but let me give you some context behind this meme. So recently online, a clip of Joseph Joestar from JoJo's bizarre adventure Stardust Crusaders has resurfaced and gone viral due to the bizarre, pun intended, situation and the dramatic dub dialogue. The clip is Joseph hopping over what he thought was a car, only for it to turn out to be a fence. So while falling midair, instead of locking in, he basically shouts the entire situation out loud at a normal speed while everything around him is in slow motion. But to be honest, you can't even blame him for the reaction he gave, because if you or I jumped over a car and it turned into a fence, I'm sure we would have been hooting and hollering too. Anyways, the dialogue in this clip made it even better because while seeing the fence, he says,
This isn't the car! No! No!
Like, wow, thanks Captain Obvious. Now if you've seen JoJo's, this type of nonsense is pretty normal, but to everyone else, this scene just looks completely insane. Anyways, a TikTok user called Asova made an edit of this scene using the song Pretty Boy V3, which is also known as the meme song for the Aura Monster meme from ReZero. And after that, the meme just completely blew up. Now my entire TikTok feed is just flooded with these edits. Now what all these memes have in common is the fence, and since the song originates from the Subaru Aura Monster meme, people started calling this version of Joseph Joestar the fence monster using this AI image. Honestly, every time you see a fence now, it's basically just a JoJo reference. The LARPers about to LARP the hell out of this one and start calling Joseph the fence guy. Anyways, for those who haven't seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which by the way you totally should, this wasn't even Joseph's only encounter with a fence. So let's look into the context behind these two moments and see why he's somehow 0-2 against fences. So let's continue with the context behind why the car turned into a fence. So while the Stardust Crusaders are traveling towards Egypt looking for Dio, they find themselves in an area covered in thick fog. And because of that, Joseph suggested they should head into town and stay there for the night, even though it wasn't even 3 PM yet. Now personally, I would have kept driving. Not only is the fog currently less thick on the road right now, but the town itself looks creepy as hell with the amount of fog down there. But anyways, they head into town and start looking for a hotel.
First you smile and say, Assalamu alaikum.
While exploring the area, they stumble across a dead guy with lizards crawling out of his mouth and holes all over his body. And after seeing that, Joseph does his thing and jumps over what he thinks is a car, but then realizes it's a fence. And then he talks to himself, explaining the situation while falling midair in slow motion. And just before he gets impaled, he uses his stand ability, Hermit Purple, to hook onto the lamppost above so he can stop his body from falling and getting impaled into the spiked fence. Now if he died right there, that would have been one of the funniest ways to kill off a character. But the reason why all of this has happened is because of her. This stand user is the one creating the fog. Now don't let her appearance fool you. She's basically one of Dio's right hand men, meaning she can actually throw hands. Her stand Justice lets her manipulate people through the fog using illusions, which is why Joseph thought the fence was a car in the first place. So yeah, pretty bizarre, but once you realize the fog was messing with everyone from the start, it actually makes sense. So even though Joseph survived this incident, he's now 0-1 against fences, mostly because of how close it came to penetrating him from behind. And speaking of penetration, the second fence incident had a lot more of that going on, and this time Joseph's dignity did not survive. Smashing in public? Yeah, that's disgusting. But before you judge, let me give you some context real quick. So this situation started with Joseph trying to take a dump in this toilet, if you can even call it that. But after realizing you have to wipe using sand, he decides to hold it in. So on the way out, he sees this power outlet. Now if you see something like that out in the desert, you'd obviously be suspicious, like, why the hell is there a power point out here? Like, no way someone needs to scroll on their phone that badly. So obviously you would avoid it. Yeah, at this point, how is bro still alive? Anyways, a bit later, we start to see some small malfunctions in his mechanical hand, and anything metal or magnetically attracted starts flying his way. Then after, this problem gets even worse, with bigger objects suddenly getting pulled towards him, like this chair, and even this lady's dress. Oh hell no, this man cannot show his face around here again. But then the same thing happens to this older lady, except she actually enjoys it. Hey yo, grandma is moving wild. Anyways, while escaping using the excavator, Joseph ends up getting stuck to the floor. Yeah, so this man accidentally forgot the floor is made out of metal. But to be fair, he was more focused on these flying cutlery. Luckily, Avdol is there to save him, but he also ends up touching the power source too, turning his body into a magnet, which leads to both of them getting stuck together while chasing the stand user, Mariah. Now as we've seen already, her stand, Bastard, basically turns anyone who touches the outlet into a magnet, which sounds lame at first until you realize she can literally launch a whole truck at you. Anyways, this whole situation so far has some pretty hilarious moments, but what comes next is absolutely ridiculous. So while they were chasing the enemy, they ended up tripping and struggling to get back up. And when they finally do, they realize the magnetism between them has doubled, making it almost impossible to move apart, so they decided the only way to separate is by using the fence. So they start making their way towards the fence, and then you have these two people just watching them like, oh wow, these two must be really close. I wonder if they're dating. Oh, f off. So they finally reach the fence and Joseph comes up with a plan. Avdol will slide down Joseph's body while Joseph holds onto the fence to put them apart. But this is where everything goes wrong. Because as Avdol starts sliding down, he realizes the position he is in looks very uncomfortable. So this got Joseph panicking. He was like, Avdol, tighten your ass up and get off me. No one is watching. Oh shit. Yeah, there's a whole crowd watching. The two dudes from earlier literally brought the entire front group just to spectate. So now Avdol starts panicking too, but his face actually gets stuck on Joseph's junk, which just makes this entire situation humiliating. Yeah, so after this tomfoolery, Joseph has had enough and turns around, which finally separates them for a second, but they immediately get pulled back together again and end up in an even crazier position. Oh my lord, they are cooked. And both of them panicking only makes the situation look even worse. Now remember that older lady from earlier? So somehow she thought Joseph was attracted to her. So when she sees Joseph and Avdol on the fence together, she completely crashes out and starts attacking them. Which honestly turned out to be a blessing in disguise because the attack knocks both of them over the fence, finally separating them. So yeah, after everything that has happened on that fence, Joseph's dignity definitely died that day, making the fence 0-2. Anyways, those were the two fence incidents that officially made Joseph Joestar 0 and 2 against fences. And despite everything that has happened in this video, Joseph is still one of the greatest JoJo characters of all time. Yeah, he has had some goofy moments, but back in his prime, this man was on another level. Anyways, the LARPers are about to start calling Joseph the fence guy. However, I do like the nickname Fence Monster because in the meme they used the song from the ReZero Oil Monster meme. And at this point, every fence in the world is now a JoJo reference. Matter of fact, you can't even spell reference without fence. So technically every reference is now a JoJo reference. Alright, goodbye.